2030 to streamline and link the action with sustainable development goals. Nepal also joined the school meal coalition in 2021 to improve the quality, adequacy, coverage, and sustainability of the school meals program. We are also strengthening the capacity of local government to implement and monitor the program. Madam Chair, as we gear up to graduate from LDC by 2020, government is striving toward establishing a sustainable homegrown school feeding model and expand local food production to ensure a diversified and nutritious food supply to school meals. In doing so, we support small-scale local agriculture development and also help improve the health, nutrition, and education of our children. We sincerely appreciate the UN system, our development partners, and key stakeholders for their strong commitment to assist and transform our food system and achieve SDGs by 2030. Together, let us embrace this transformative journey, working hand in hand to provide our children with nutritious meals, quality education, and sustainable future. Thank you for the attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. And our last speaker of this high-level opening panel, I am honored to introduce Prime Minister of Niger, His Excellency Mahamadou Oumoudou.
Merci, Madame. Je vais parler en français. Je voudrais remercier le secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour l'invitation qui a été adressée au gouvernement du Niger pour participer à cette importante rencontre. Je voudrais par la même occasion lui transmettre les salutations distinguées de son Excellence Mohamed Bazoum, président de la République, chef de l'État. Je voudrais aussi remercier Madame la directrice générale du PAM pour l'opportunité qui nous a offerte de vous apporter le témoignage du Niger en matière d'alimentation scolaire. L'histoire de l'alimentation scolaire au Niger remonte à la période coloniale. En effet, l'alimentation scolaire au Niger est liée à la création des écoles nomades pendant la période de la colonisation. Les familles nomades, qui sont donc des passeurs transhumants, n'ont pas de lieu d'attache fixe. Et donc, pour pouvoir éduquer leurs enfants, les écoles qui ont été créées ont été associées très tôt avec les internats. Ainsi, les enfants de ces familles sont placés à l'école et internés de façon à ce que les parents viennent les récupérer à la fin de la période scolaire. Ceci a permis aux familles nomades du Niger de pouvoir être éduquées et favoriser l'intégration de leurs enfants dans la société. Autrement, ils n'auraient pas été à l'école. Par la suite, le programme a été élargi à d'autres écoles. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes à 300 000 enfants qui bénéficient de l'alimentation scolaire de façon permanente, donc pour les écoles nomades avec 3 repas par jour et de façon alternée avec un repas par jour pour les autres écoles. Par la suite, les cantines scolaires se sont généralisées aussi aux familles victimes des attaques des terroristes où un nombre important d'écoles ont été fermées et des centres de regroupement ont été créés. Ainsi donc, nous avons à l'heure actuelle plus de 900 écoles qui sont fermées et les enfants regroupés dans des centres de regroupement avec un effectif d'environ 80 000 enfants. L'avantage des cantines scolaires est évident. En effet, les statistiques ont démontré que 97% de taux de fréquentation scolaire dans les écoles à cantine scolaire contre un taux de 90% pour les autres écoles. Les statistiques aussi ont démontré que le taux d'abandon de scolarité des jeunes filles est 4,5 fois supérieur à celui des jeunes filles qui sont dans les écoles avec cantine, comparativement donc aux écoles qui n'ont pas de cantine scolaire. Il a été également démontré que chaque dollar investi dans l'alimentation scolaire génère 6,7 dollars en termes de retombées économiques. Fort de ce constat, le gouvernement du Niger, qui a adhéré à la coalition mondiale pour l'alimentation scolaire, a préparé sa note d'engagement en prélude à la conférence de Paris qui aura lieu en octobre prochain. Et les objectifs qui sont inscrits dans cette feuille d'engagement sont les suivants. Premièrement, augmenter significativement la part des repas scolaires financés par le budget national à l'horizon 2030. Augmenter annuellement de 5 points de pourcentage du budget national le montant alloué à l'alimentation scolaire et porter ainsi le taux de couverture nationale qui est actuellement de 11% à 25% en 2026 et à 50% en 2030. Porter l'alimentation basée sur la production locale à 50% d'ici l'horizon 2030. Assurer la couverture alimentaire en alimentation scolaire à 100% des internats de jeunes filles. Enfin, assurer la continuité de l'éducation en situation d'urgence avec une couverture de 100% des centres de regroupement scolaire dans les zones affectées par les conflits. Voilà, mesdames et messieurs, les témoignages du Niger sur l'alimentation scolaire. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
I want to thank the three heads of state for their amazing commitment to children, to the School Meals Coalition, and for their leadership. Truly exceptional. Now we're going to ask the two co-chairs of the coalition, the initiators of this wonderful initiative, France and Finland, to tell us a little bit more about the coalition. We will start with Minister of State for Development of France, Her Excellency Chrysoula Sakarapoulou.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Madame la directrice exécutive du PAM, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, une véritable dynamique se crée autour de notre coalition pour l'alimentation scolaire et je vais d'abord remercier bien sûr le PAM et tous les pays engagés et particulièrement l'honneur d'y porter cette cause et bien sûr tous les acteurs. Dans un monde qui risque chaque jour de se fracturer davantage entre nord et sud, est et ouest, où les crises se superposent, où les retards par rapport à nos objectifs de développement s'accumulent, Nous sommes persuadés que cette coalition offre un modèle d'action collective et elle correspond parfaitement à l'esprit des nouveaux partenariats internationaux que le président Emmanuel Macron veut nouer avec tous les acteurs sur tous les sujets. Alors, le succès de cette coalition repose, si vous voulez, sur 3 ingrédients. Le premier, nous sommes unis pour répondre à un défi concret et nous fixons un objectif simple mais très puissant. Offrir à chaque enfant, chaque jour, un repas de qualité. Le deuxième ingrédient, c'est que nous soutenons cette coalition sur un sujet qui répond en même temps à tous les enjeux du développement. Nous ne pouvons plus opposer protection de la planète et réduction de la pauvreté. Nous devons faire converger ces 2 enjeux. Et voilà, l'alimentation scolaire incarne parfaitement la convergence de ces combats. Bien nourrir nos enfants à l'école, c'est améliorer l'accès et la qualité de l'éducation, réduire les inégalités et en particulier entre filles et garçons, renforcer la sécurité alimentaire bien sûr, créer des emplois de qualité et enfin enclencher la mutation des systèmes de production. Troisième ingrédient, c'est que cette coalition mobilise toutes les énergies, les États, les organisations internationales, les acteurs locaux, les secteurs privés. Quand certains instrumentalisent ces sujets et jouent la division, ils mettent en péril nos progrès communs. Nous le voyons avec la guerre d'agression russe en Ukraine, qui prend en otage la sécurité alimentaire de millions de personnes à travers le monde, et encore davantage depuis quelques jours avec le retrait russe de l'initiative de la mer Noire. La faim, mesdames et messieurs, ne doit jamais être un instrument de chantage. 2 ans alors, à peine après le lancement de cette initiative, les résultats obtenus sont impressionnants. 84 pays et plus de 90 partenaires nous ont rejoints. Nous avons atteint notre premier objectif, rétablir l'alimentation scolaire au niveau d'avant la pandémie. 418 millions d'enfants bénéficient désormais des repas de qualité à l'école. C'est 30 millions de plus qu'en 2020. En 10 ans, 4 millions d'emplois directs ont aussi été créés grâce à notre action. La plupart bénéficient à des femmes. Derrière ces résultats, il y a aussi d'importants engagements financiers. Collectivement, nous avons augmenté nos investissements dans l'alimentation scolaire de 5 milliards de dollars en 2 ans. Nous pouvons être tous ensemble fiers de ces chemins parcourus, mais nous devons aller maintenant encore plus loin, faire en sorte qu'en 2030, 730 millions d'enfants bénéficient d'un repas sain et nutritif à l'école. La France prend toute sa part de cette ambition collective. Au niveau national, nous continuons de promouvoir une alimentation scolaire accessible à tous, saine, durable et de qualité. À l'international, nous mobilisons nos chercheurs, nos opérateurs, notre tissu associatif pour accompagner nos partenaires. Avec les PAM, le Partenariat mondial pour l'éducation et les États, nous finançons un grand nombre de projets d'alimentation scolaire et la France a consacré plus de 28 millions d'euros pour financer des projets de ce type. Mais notre réussite ne peut pas se résumer à des engagements individuels. C'est pour cela que j'appelle aujourd'hui à rendre visible notre mouvement lors de toutes les grandes échéances multilatérales qui vont marquer les prochains mois et les prochaines années. Les sommets, bien sûr, des ODD à New York, mais aussi la COP28, la conférence des Nations Unies sur les océans de Nice, et bien sûr, nous avons 2 importants rendez-vous à Paris, les sommets nutrition pour la croissance et la première réunion mondiale de haut niveau de la coalition sous le patronage du président de la République, Emmanuel Macron. Je termine, mesdames et messieurs, en vous appelant tous à la mobilisation générale Pour faire de cette étape parisienne un grand succès, mobilisons-nous au plus haut niveau politique. Une forte participation des chefs d'État et de gouvernement et des ministres à Paris montrera que l'alimentation scolaire est une cause mondiale de la première importance. Mobilisons-nous aussi sur le fond pour prendre de nouveaux engagements, augmenter le financement et pousser les initiatives qui donnent les meilleurs résultats. Et surtout, mobilisons-nous pour nos enfants, pour leur éducation, pour leur santé et pour leur avenir. Merci beaucoup à tous.
Thank you to France for the leadership in the coalition, and now their co-chair. I have the honor to introduce Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Forestry of Finland, Ms. Jana Hussu-Kallio.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor to speak on behalf of Finland as the co-chair of the School Meals Coalition, and I'm very grateful for the excellent cooperation with France. Thank you very much, dear Minister. So school meals are much more than a plate of food, and in Finland we know their positive impact firsthand. As a poor country, right in the aftermath of the Second World War, we decided in the 1940s to invest in the youth by providing free of charge school meals. The school meals program helped to transform our own society, also as a backbone of our education success story. As we have heard, we have worked successfully with member states from north and south in the coalition. The first ministerial meeting of the School Meals Coalition's task force was organized in Helsinki last year. This year, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland initiated a review to document and also to assess the impact of the School Meals Coalition. Our review highlighted 3 key factors for its success. First, as we have heard, the high-level commitment of leaders who advocate and invest in the school meal programs. Thank you so much. Second, the flexible governance structure with a strong secretariat. And in this connection, I wish to express, of course, our appreciation to WFP serving as the secretariat. And third, the multi-stakeholder approach with an emphasis on country-led action. In addition, bringing together diverse stakeholders under a shared vision and goals, the exchanging information, regular meetings, and coordinating communication contributed to the coalition's success. Turning now to the main achievements of the coalition. As we have heard, the ultimate objective was that every child in the world will receive a school meal on a daily basis by 2030. We are more than halfway there. Today, 418 million children receive today daily school meals worldwide. But the review made some recommendations on the way forward, of course. First is to continue mobilizing member states and non-state actors to improve the quality and sustainability of the school meals programs and strengthen the integration of local food producers, thus generating the local economic growth, important, I'm sure, all around the world. Maintaining the focus on strategic partnerships and events at regional level, strengthening the peer-to-peer learning initiative and developing a multi-year leadership engagement plan to involve new leaders. Developing a system to track commitments of governments and progress. And finalizing guidance for the involvement of interested private sector stakeholders. The review made recommendations for the initiatives of the School Meals Coalition as such, including the Research Consortium, the Sustainable Financing Initiative, and the Data and Monitoring Initiative. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, youth engagement and gender equality should be explicitly integrated into the coalition's goals and messaging. Finland is indeed looking forward to continuing global cooperation to achieve the objectives of the MEETS coalition. Let's do it successfully together. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our two co-chairs of the School Meals Coalition, and thank you to this high-level opening panel. As we transition into the second panel, we wanted to share with you how the coalition started. This is a video collage of many more heads of state that joined those here on the stage as they joined the coalition in 2021. We will continue with the second panel.
I am delighted to give the floor right now to the School Meals Coalition.
Trade has been actively promoting the establishment of the School Meal Coalition. Argentina ha adherido a la coalición de comedores escolares.
Mon pays s'attelle à la mise en œuvre de cantines scolaires en privilégiant leur approvisionnement auprès d'acteurs locaux.
The African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, has worked to facilitate an African common position in advance of this summit with the following priority tracks. 1. Adopt nutritional food policies, establish food reserves, and expand school feeding programs.
I am pleased that Kenya is taking leadership in the School Meals Coalition.
The Agriculture for School Lunch project is one of our success stories in addressing food insecurity and malnutrition.
So as to deliver safe, healthy, and nutritious school meals.
Our support to the School Feeding Coalition.
Guatemala se adhirió a la Comisión de Alimentación Escolar.
We therefore support the coalition on school feeding and commit ourselves to achieving the goal.
School meals.
The School Meal.
Y es que firmamos la coalición para la alimentación escolar.
We are pleased to join the School Meals Coalition.
The President is particularly proud to join the School Meals Coalition. The establishment of effective school meal programs represents a smart investment into future generations as well as into more sustainable humanitarian action and development aid.
We look forward to working with so many of you through the global coalition called School Meals Nutrition, Health, and Education for Every Child, to ensure that every child has access to nutritious meals in school by 2030.
La principauté a annoncé son soutien à la coalition pour le repas scolaire, nutrition, santé et éducation pour tous les enfants. Coalition sur les cantines scolaires.
School Meals Coalition.
School meals.
School meals.
La France appuie également la coalition pour l'alimentation scolaire. We already support the school meal coalitions.
L'Union s'est engagée à jouer un rôle prépondérant au sein de la coalition mondiale pour l'alimentation scolaire.
I'm pleased to see many member states allowing around universal access to nutritious meals in schools. A great example of how social protection can support resilience, food security, and the rights of children and young people.
Okay, back to our second panel. This is a ministerial panel, but we will start with one of the main champions of the coalition. We really want to thank UN Undersecretary General and Special Advisor on Africa, Ms. Cristina Duarte, if you can help to kick us off on this ministerial segment.
Good morning. Carmen just told me that I have 3 minutes. So, protocols observed. Everybody knows that the SDGs are off track. So let's concentrate on the solutions, not on the problem. In the case of school feeding, I'd like to say 3 things. Today, I have been an African policymaker for more than 25 years, 10 years as Minister of Finance. Today, one of the main challenges in development is the efficiency of policymaking. Is a huge challenge. Value for money. Then you ask me, what is the relation with homegrown school feeding? How come homegrown school feeding can be a major contribution to policy making efficiency? Believe me, it can. Allow me to start by giving my own example as Minister of Finance for 10 years. School feeding in Cape Verde deliver 4 out of 8 MDGs, thanks to school feeding. Of course, with a rate of return of $1 to $9, this is a dream for any Minister of Finance. But school feeding is a multi-sector program. Believe me, it's much more than a hot meal for a child in a school. In the case of Africa, when you feed a child, you feed a mother. When you feed a mother, you feed a family. When you feed the family, you feed the community. So let's go and see the potential of school feeding. First, as I say, school feeding is not a public expenditure. School feeding is an investment. It's a powerfully macroeconomic tool for policymakers because, as I say, it brings efficiency. Second, in the case of Africa, school feeding is an entry point to deliver public service delivery. We just realized through a cause of conflict report about Africa that one of the main reasons of the increasing of instability in Africa is the absence of the state. Believe me, homegrown school feeding is the low-hanging fruit, can help states to be present in remote areas. Third, school feeding can be also an entry point to deliver energy solutions, off-grid solutions. How? You know that WFP, to deliver school feeding programs in remote areas, undertakes a co-creation process with the community to set up a minimum structure to manage the school feeding. You can use that same structure, co-create it, and deliver off-grid solutions. So, homegrown, as I said, homegrown school feeding is much more than a hot meal for a child in a school. In the case of the 2008 subprime crisis, it helped me as Minister of Finance to keep children in school. By doing that, parents had higher availability in terms of implementing their own crisis coping strategies, delivering resilience to cope with the 2008 international crisis. Also, school feeding, as has been said before, is just a magic tool to start transforming food systems, and is the subject of this conversation. So, to do the relevance of school feeding, it needs to be a national-owned program. It needs to be found by budget. But in the case of Africa, no fiscal space, debt distress. And allow me to take this opportunity, Carmen, and I just need 1 minute to appeal. His Excellency of Sierra Leone has said it. No fiscal space, debt distress. Homegrown school feeding can help. First, ODA. If we earmark ODA for the next 5 years, and we channel the earmark amount to build school feeding, to revamp school feeding programs, in this case, my continent in Africa. But at the same time we do that, we earmark ODA funds to help these same African countries to start building strong domestic resource mobilization systems. I can assure you that in 5-year times, the budget will take over. The budget will take over the homeschool front. We did it in Cape Verde. Second, school feeding is a win-win situation. We know that our partners, developed countries, they face, and they have been facing in the past 25 years, ODA effectiveness. If we earmark ODA funds, first to revamp homegrown school feedings, at the same time to build or to help countries build strong DRM systems, we'll be helping our developed partners increasing the effectiveness level of ODA. And I hope I didn't talk too much. I wanted to advocate for debt swaps next time.
Thank you so much, Christina. So we have an issue with time. We have about 20 minutes for all of you to speak. Because then we have Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed that is connecting live at 5 a.m. in the morning from New York to say goodbye. And then we're literally going to be kicked out of this session because the next one starts. So I'm going to ask for your support, all of you. And I don't think we're going to have time for all of your statements to be said as was planned. So I'm going to ask you to have a conversation with me rather than kind of hearing statement after statement. And just please work with me so we can make this session work. We'll start with Rwanda. Minister Gaspard Tigwanyiyezu, you have been a champion under President Kagame's leadership. Rwanda has emerged as one of the success stories of Africa. The first thing I want you to tell the audience is, what is the trajectory of the school feeding program in Rwanda? How have you increased the scale of the program, including the budget? Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to everyone. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to share the story of Rwanda as school meals is concerned. We have signed on the School Meals Coalition in 2021. And since then, we have expanded the school feeding program to all levels of education in our system. And this means above 3.5 million children in our school system receive their meals at school. And this has, of course, gone with the increase in the budgets. Before 2021, we were feeding around 680 students, and this was mainly in secondary schools. And with the expansion, we have included pre-primary, primary, and of course the rest of secondary schools. And we have, over that period, invested more than $120 million in school feeding programs. But of course, increasing or scaling up school feeding is more than just budgets. So we have also invested in building governing systems. We have a national level school feeding committee that includes ourselves in the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Agriculture, and all our different partners, because of course school feeding is a multi-sectoral business. And we also have other committees at the district and at school level. And the interesting thing is that the committee that we have at school level is represented by, the students are represented on the committee, and the parents and the teachers. And this is to ensure that we increase awareness and increase ownership of that school feeding program.
Thank you so much for that. I have one more question for you if we can, but before I move to Brazil, one thing I should thank you for is Minister Gaspard just helped to launch the East Africa Community of Practice under the School Meals Coalition just a month ago. So congratulations for that. All right. So we go to Brazil. Let's just give her the mic if you can maybe share. Okay. So we have the Vice Minister of Education. You're also the Director of the National Fund for School Meals, Fernanda Pacobaiba. Welcome. Again, we don't have time for all of you to read all of your statements, but we want to hear a little bit about the Brazilian program. It's one of the symbols internationally of what a true universal homegrown school meals program that we understand today. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Brazil and some of the leadership that you're taking in the coalition.
Bom dia a todas e a todos. Eu gostaria de agradecer e cumprimentar e agradecer a iniciativa do nosso secretário-geral da ONU, Antônio Guterres, e gostaria de cumprimentar e agradecer a senhora Cindy McCain por toda a importância no PMA, e em nome dela eu destaco a importância de lideranças femininas em organismos internacionais. O programa do Brasil é o melhor programa do mundo. Nós temos um programa que foi criado em 1950, é uma política pública, é uma das políticas públicas mais antigas do país, está presente em 5.570 municípios brasileiros e atende de forma universal a mais de 40 milhões de alunos diariamente. É desenvolvido em mais de 150 mil escolas públicas, fornecendo 50 milhões de refeições diárias. São 10 bilhões de refeições por ano. Desde a cúpula dos sistemas alimentares em 2021, Nós tivemos um incremento do nosso orçamento. Em 2022 eram 800 milhões de dólares e agora na gestão do presidente Lula nós temos um orçamento de 1 bilhão e 100 milhões de dólares, um aumento de 36%. 30% desse valor vai para a agricultura familiar. E tivemos também uma retomada em 2023 do programa de aquisição de alimentos, destinando este ano de 2023 100 milhões de dólares. No que diz respeito, já finalizando, a cooperação internacional, já apoiamos mais de 100 países da América Latina, Caribe, África e Ásia na formulação de programas de alimentação escolar próprio e nos últimos 16 anos repasse de mais de 25 milhões de dólares. Atualmente trabalhamos com 30 países prioritários. Pelo projeto da RAIS, projeto Brasil FAO, são 13 nações, dentre as quais Costa Rica, Guatemala, El Salvador e Paraguai. E pelo Centro de Excelência contra a Fome, outros 23 países se beneficiam com capacitações técnicas, como Quênia, Ruanda, Tanzânia e Laos. Muito obrigada.
Thank you so much. So Brazil, a leader in Latin America, globally, one of the best programs in the world. Thank you so much. But also, as you'll hear from the panel and as you heard from the presidents and the prime ministers, this is a coalition that has mobilized, quadrupled, increased the budget of several programs, including the program of Brazil. $1 billion destined for the program annually is quite a feat. So now we go to the U.S., and thank you so much for being here, Your Excellency Jenny Lester Moffett, Undersecretary General for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. President Biden last year unveiled the White House National Strategy on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health, and the first pillar of that mentioned the school lunch program of the U.S. So there are specific commitments that the U.S. has made related to the topic of today. Tell us a little bit about what the U.S. is envisioning to do.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, last fall, the White House, the United States hosted the first in 40 years White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. And at that conference, President Biden unveiled our national strategy for hunger, nutrition, and health. Food access and affordability is a key pillar of that, as well as, of course, free, nourishing school meals. And I really want to underscore the nourishing portion of that piece. Right now in the United States, 60% of American students receive a school meal across the country. And of that, 3/4, 75%, close to 75%, are low-income students. We saw in the pandemic, Congress authorize universal free meals for all students in the United States, and we saw the benefit and what that can mean for students who are focusing on learning rather than focusing on their stomachs and their hunger. We saw that benefit, and we also know, very importantly, that making sure that we have nourishing meals is a really important part of our school meal programs. It's important that we get food to all of our students. It's also very important that we make sure that that food is one of the most nourishing meals of their day. So our dietary guidelines are very important, and we are working on updating them now that they align with our school meal programs. Expanding free, healthy access to meals is one of our priorities. 10 states in the United States have already passed legislation for universal free school meals, and 20 states have already authorized additional legislation as well. Our administration is committed to universal free school meals. We are updating our community eligibility program. This will allow more school districts across the country to be able to participate in the school meal program and authorize healthy schools for all. USDA has a commitment of healthy schools for all by 2032.
Great.
Importantly is also the work that we do procuring from local producers, particularly underserved producers in the United States. We have a farm to school program. We're purchasing from local foods for schools. We're making sure that we provide technical assistance so farmers from all backgrounds and all sizes can be able to sell to USDA foods. That is a very important part about that.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all for the effort that you're making to make your statements much shorter than they should be. I really very much appreciate it. We are going now to Bangladesh on a very special piece of this program. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh, His Excellency Abdul Momen, is here to make a couple of very important announcements. Again, we don't have time for statements, but Foreign Minister, the government of Bangladesh recently announced a very important plan to expand your national program. How many children are you going to be reaching? Let's check to see if your mic is okay. Yes, go ahead. It is.
Does it work?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just tell us a little bit about the national plan, and then we have a surprise for the audience, I know. So we just need to hear just a tiny bit of what you're doing.
Thank you very much. You see, our Prime Minister is committed to provide school feeding program to all the children of the country, around 20 million school children. But by 2041, we plan to do that. But currently, she started our program. Sheikh Hasina started our program 2010. And we have been providing school meal around 2.2 million plus. But more basically, nutritious biscuit. But we are planning to increase it. And we are thankful that we will be increased within the next 3 years. The total number of coverage is around 3.7 million students, school children. So it is around, currently we provide school for most of the places where they're poor, they're desperate, those children, and we provide to 104 sub-districts, but we would like to increase it by another 50%. With your support, we can provide it much more anyway, but the good news is our program is on, and in addition, the beauty of providing school feeding program is we have increased enrollment by 14%, reduced this dropout rate more than 7.5%. We are planning to provide more nutritious food. Currently, we just provide the biscuits, but in future, we want to diversify. We'll provide fruits, milk, the cake, and other things. And we will do it locally, produce products. So this will also help the local community. So and there will be a development of entrepreneurs who will come forward. But we need government support. We need government support, and no wonder. That's why we plan to join the world, the meals program, this particular program. Hopefully we will be the 85th nation member state for this program.
So welcome to Bangladesh, to the School Meals Coalition today. We have Secretary of the Ministry of Primary Education, Mr. Farid Ahmed, who is authorized by the Prime Minister to sign the declaration of commitment of the coalition. Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome, Bangladesh. Okay, so now we go to a second block. Again, a little bit of a speed dating block here for us. We start with Germany, another big announcement from Germany, very exciting. Federal Minister of Food and Agriculture, Your Excellency Cem Özdemir. Tell us a little bit what your news is today.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, Excellencies. Let me start on a personal note. I come from an immigrant working class family, and when I went to school, there was no such thing as school meals on many of our schools because the school ended at noon. So when I came home, there was nobody there because my parents had to work. When I look back today, we're still, unfortunately, even in an industrialized and rich country compared to many other countries on the globe, we still have a way to go. Every child, independent from the background, whether the parents are rich or poor, have the right to have a school meal in school. Having said that, I'm happy to announce that the federal government has embarked on a very exciting journey to design the accelerating school meals program with the Executive Director McCain with the World Food Program. Over the next 5 years, Germany will invest 22 million euros in 2 countries, Sierra Leone and Laos PDR. The program is very aspirational. It will of course provide health and nutritious meals for students, I believe this is crucial as school meals are an important element to fight hunger, malnutrition and poverty. And as it was said before, it has so many impacts on so many different areas. It is a help for local farmers, regional farmers. It is a way to support healthy diets, organic farming. It is also a way for equal chances for girls and boys, because girls are specifically targeted. So it has so many advantages that one can ask oneself, why haven't we discovered that earlier?
Exactly.
And why don't we not invest more in this great
What's stopping us?
Thank you.
What's stopping us? Thank you so much to Germany. And Germany joins many of the partners here, I think, in pushing all of us to move towards a true food system approach to school meals, including also the connection to climate action. So we'll go now to the Rockefeller Foundation. Roy Steiner, Vice President of RF. Another big, important partner, strategic partner of the coalition. You've started to see the potential of these programs in many countries. Tell us very briefly, what is the engagement of Rockefeller Foundation in the coalition, and what kind of programs are you pushing to move forward with?
Thank you. Can you hear? Thank you so much, Carmen. It's so delightful to be here. Just to follow up on the co-chair for France, you know, the one thing about this is that in a world that's so polarized, school meals is something that we can all agree on. There are very few issues like that, because at the end of the day, we all love our children, and we should hold on to that one point of unity. Two things, very briefly.
Thank you.
One is, you know, we are trying to expand this school meal coalition by creating the economic analysis that's needed. You know, as you know, SOFA and the FAO are doing a true cost accounting report. But when we apply that to school meals is not a cost. It is one of the best investments a country can make. It is a value-creating investment that brings multiple times, as His Excellency from Niger said, multiple times when you invest $1, you get many dollars back in economic return. That's one. Secondly, it is a powerful way to shift your food system. It can be used to bring innovation into the system that otherwise would be very difficult. And one example is shifting from refined grains to whole grains. The only reason we do refined grains was because it used to have, that was the only way you had shelf life of 6 months plus, and whole grains only had 4 weeks of shelf life. Now we have milling technology that enables shelf life of whole grains, which is 20 to 30% more food and 90% more nutrition to get introduced back into the system. And school meals is a wonderful way to start changing patterns and habits. And then thirdly, I think we need to create the fiscal space for what is an obvious investment. And I want to support Christine's point that we should tie many of these support programs, ODA programs, to school meals specifically, because it's such a valuable contribution.
Thank you so
much. And
much.
it requires all of us to work together. So I do want to thank the World Food Program and partners like the MasterCard and Gates Foundation and GAIN and AGRA and many others who are really contributing to this transition.
Thank you so much, Roy. It really is the leadership of partners, strategic partners like the Rockefeller Foundation, that is really powering what's happening in the coalition, and that includes Norway. Minister of International Development of Norway, Her Excellency Anne Beat Tvedenereim. I saw you in Norway just a month ago or something, and we talked a little bit about your trip to Ethiopia, your passion for school meals and homegrown school meals. You've made it one of your flagship issues, and you are supporting several countries. Tell us a little bit why.
Thank you. Yes, school feeding program is an essential, integral part of our strategy for ensuring food security in our development policy, and that is because it ensures that value for money that was mentioned here earlier. And I'd like to make just 2 points. Norway is financing approximately 400 million Norwegian crowns in Niger, Ethiopia, and Malawi, and we just recently added another 58 million Norwegian crowns due to the extraordinary consequences on global food security due to the war in Ukraine. And let me make 2 points on the added value. One, it is not indifferent how these programs are designed, and I want to make a strong case for the homegrown school feeding program. I have witnessed school feeding programs in the field where the food is shipped in from other continents, from tenders made in the central capital, shipped into schools, and I mean, in terms of food security and calories, that's fine, but it's such a lost development opportunity. And I recently visited Mozambique, Tets, and saw the amazing effects that homegrown school feeding has in the region of Tets. So I just want to make that appeal, to make sure that we design the program to get that extra synergy in terms of local value chains and local economy and local agriculture. The second point is nexus. You know, for me, as a development minister with increasing needs globally, we are all trying to, you know, unleash that potential of the nexus, and school feeding program is the answer to combine, you know, humanitarian efforts with long-term effects of development. So, yeah, that's basically the 2 points I wanted to mention to underline the added value, the value for money on these programs. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Norway. Thank you, Minister, for your leadership. Last but not least, we have Minister of Climate Change and Environment of the UAE, Minister Maria Malmeri. We met you in Helsinki. We were told by Finland that they held their ministerial meeting in October there last year. You were convinced at that moment of the transformational power of school meals. UAE, of course, a really important champion moving forward on COP28. Tell us a little bit about your commitments of how we take this forward.
Thank you so much, and it's so great to be here. I really want to thank France, Finland, WFP for spearheading this. This is, as Christine said, a magical tool. I was so inspired when I was in the ministerial that I went back home and I started looking at how we approach things. And what you said, our colleague from Norway, is so essential. We're a country that imports most of our food, and I started looking at the approach on how we go about school meals. And I have to say, we've always looked at school meals, or let's say nutrition and education. We've understand that linkages already from many years ago. Since 2007, we've invested about $55 million already in 17 countries, benefit, or 6.9 million beneficiaries have benefited from this, but now understanding that this is also a low-hanging fruit for food systems transformation and also to tackle climate change, this is where I wanted to sort of dig more and understood that it ticks so many boxes. And so I can only say, please, to all members that haven't joined this coalition, this is a no-brainer. You need to come on board because it really ticks so many boxes. And I want to tell you that the COP28 presidency, in its action agenda, it will really put food systems and ag systems transformation in front and center. And School Meals Coalition is going to be a powerful tool in this as well. So I look forward to working with all of you on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I want to thank our participants for bearing with me and the thing that I just did to you, which was massacre your statements. Thank you for working with us. We're going to close this session with some words live from Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, who is here to take us home. DSG, over to you.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As we kick off the Food Systems Summit Stop Tip Moment, I really would like to commend everyone involved in the success of this really important coalition on school meals. The government of France and Finland have provided important data and analysis to steer our progress since the School Meals Coalition was launched at the Food Systems Summit in 2021. So let's take a moment to reflect on why the coalition is so badly needed. Our food systems we've seen failing to deliver for many people and for our planet, and the most vulnerable and the youngest are still being affected the most. Today, 3 billion people are facing crisis levels of hunger, including 150 million children, and nearly 73 million children now in low-income countries go to school hungry. Our children in the humanitarian context are suffering disproportionately, and I saw that last week while I was in Chad. and they are more than twice as likely to be out of school. And our girls in conflict-affected countries are 2.5 times more likely to be out of school than those in stable contexts. So the impact of malnutrition and food insecurity go far beyond education. They can also affect children's physical, mental and reproductive health, as we've heard, throughout their entire life. And the causes go far beyond family economics. They're linked with agricultural production, local wholesale markets and financial investments, which affect several of our SDGs. In this context, today's session has indeed more than a plate of food. It is a wake-up call for all actors, championing the power of food for the well-being of our children and families today, hoping to deliver a healthier and much more resilient future for tomorrow. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from Sierra Leone, Niger, and Nepal, where governments, many of them facing tough fiscal headwinds, are working towards scaling up programs and striving to achieve universal provision. Our congratulations to Bangladesh for joining the School Meals Coalition. Today, Bangladesh is committing $470 million over the next 3 years and switching to much more nutritious homegrown meals. Brazil's school meal program includes a rule that 30% of food purchased must come from smallholder farmers, linking nutritious local foods to more resilient livelihoods. These examples show how school meals can effectively support local economies, empower regions and rural communities, and promote sustainable land use, demonstrating the multiple values and the benefits of cultural and biological diversity. Our school meals programs have an unrivaled potential to cut through the complexities of food systems, operating across departmental and policy silos, and above all, really trying to drive results at scale and with a real sense of urgency. Looking ahead, I'd like to present, again, 4 reflections from this session. First, if we are to unlock the full potential of school meals for food system reform, we must extend their reach and expand their scope. Today demonstrates that we've come a long way, but millions of the most vulnerable children still denied access to the school meals that could transform their lives. We need to devise a clear roadmap to close the gap and reach 730 million children by 2030 with nutritious meals to support ambitious country-led initiatives. Second, school meal programs are not a standalone strategy, as we've heard, for food system reform, but they are amongst the most powerful, practical and proven tools available to governments to deliver on several of our SDGs. Providing children with healthy diets backed by education can create the lifelong consumption patterns needed to reduce overconsumption and malnutrition. So what better way to shape the markets of tomorrow than to change the diet of children today? Equipped with efficient stoves, schools could reduce the use of charcoal and wood in cooking, helping prevent the loss of biodiversity and reducing carbon emissions. Effective procurement of school meals could also cut food waste and reduce environmental pressures. And governments could intentionally design their programs to achieve these outcomes. To start with, they could commit to matching Brazil's 30% rule for smallholder farmers, increasing the food that is bought locally. Third, school meal programs have a vast untapped potential to support more resilient rural livelihoods in the face of climate change. Why do school meals barely figure in nationally determined contributions to the Paris Agreement, one may ask? And why do we fail to harness this opportunity for systemic change and boost climate change adaptation and mitigation through the biggest public safety net that we have available to support future generations? So here again, we could work to integrate school meals into climate finance, and the upcoming replenishment of the Green Climate Fund provides that opportunity. Fourth, the finance for schooling for school meal programs in developing countries is coming from governments of those countries, as we've heard today. But as fiscal pressure mounts in the face of slower growth and mounting debt service obligations, many countries need aid to supplement their efforts and realize that their ambitions, so that we're not seeing that there are trade-offs on children's lives. We need to mobilize about $1.7 billion to transform the School Meals Coalition as a service for all children that require support. Less than 1 day's worth of global agriculture subsidies, by the way, would close this gap, and that would have lasting impact for future generations. Debt relief here can be critical, converting unsustainable debt into investments in children and human capital through large-scale debt for school meal swaps could transform millions of lives. And I believe that donors could work with governments in the School Meals Coalition to develop a plan of action that would mobilize those resources needed to support national efforts. So here I urge us all to bring the plan to the SDG Summit High Impact Initiative on Food Systems in September. This is an area in which small amounts of well-coordinated strategic aid can make a big difference. So, Excellencies, colleagues, let's make this DocTech count. Let's raise our ambition to protect the most vulnerable of our children. Let's resolve to increase the provision of healthy and nutritious food every day for their well-being and for the future that we want. And I look forward to your continued commitment to taking the energy and the momentum here today through the food system stock-taking moment, the SDG Summit in September, and the Summit of the Future next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed for the closing statements. That concludes the high-level session on school meals. Thank you so much to all of our panelists and to all of you for being here this morning. Thank you so much.
Obrigada.